We gotta do this reading, guys. It's been dealt out on this table for, I don't know, almost a week now or something. Days, for sure. And I just got a little bit of anger. So I thought I would use it to motivate me to get this work done. Hoping one of these piles that have been dealt out for a week are gonna be a message for me pertaining to what came up. And basically it was just like, I'm so happy lately, very calm, stress-free, enjoying life, little and big things, chores and not chores. My relationships with others have been so nice and smooth. I haven't allowed myself to take on too much in my giving, and just like things have been going really well. One family member, I think, who that really annoys. And they just get argumentative with me over dumb shit. Like something's broken and I'm like, oh, that needs to be fixed. And they start arguing with me about all the reasons why it can't be fixed. And I'm just like thinking, okay. So I feel like maybe where I went wrong, I think it's kind of normal to want to relate to somebody that I love, have a conversation, and share my life and have them care about what's going on with me, which none of that happens with this person. And instead, the conversation is just always difficult. Like, this person is always looking for an oppositional view of what I say. And I think my issue in that, the reason why I've allowed myself to get angry over it is because I just wanted it to be different between us. I just wanted this person to be more mature and more healed in a different place than they are, and that's not right of me. That's where they are. This person is there. This person is not able to relate to me on a level of outside of lack. Instead of looking for solutions with me, which would have been the next natural step in a conversation where I'm pointing out that something needs to be fixed, this person is all about, no, this is why it can't be fixed. And it's like, okay, they can have their limitation and their lack and stuff, but it's like very unpleasant to be around, I can maybe be around them without the expectation of them to be any different. But I guess just because it's a family member, I just wanted them to be in a different place than they are, and they're just not there, and it's not their fault. It's my fault that I wanted them to be someplace that they're not, and that's what made me angry. Like, everything is not terrible about life. Life is really beautiful. There is a solution for everything, but you're refusing to see it. And I can't convince you of it. And the only thing I can possibly do, the only role I can have in your life, is being the one to observe your pain and suffering. I can't offer a solution. I can only offer my presence. But I will work my way through it. And like I said, I'm going to use the anger to fuel the motivation that I need to do this, because I've just been really busy with other things and not really in the mode of doing a lot of readings lately, to be honest. Focused on my other project, focused on enjoying life, doing fun stuff. I just went out to dinner with a friend tonight. I've been, going to the beach and taking rides out to new places that I haven't been before. Just things that I enjoy, seeing different parts of Earth and and enjoying time with people, I guess, who I don't have expectations of, who may not be where I am, but who I don't have expectations of, and so it's never been an issue. But I ended up getting expectations of this one family member, and that's what screwed me. So, I take it back. I take back my expectations. Take back my longing for my relationship to return to what it was with that particular family member. And I allow them to be where they are. And I forgive myself for having expectations and wanting that relationship back with that person. Because I do miss them. You know? I just miss them. And it's, yeah. But here we are. We're going to do this reading now. And I know that was a little bit venti, but that's just what it is, okay? Doesn't mean I can't do my job here, which is reading intuitively these messages that come through. And what I did this reading based on is like feelings between the two people in this relationship. So each of these readings, 3 piles, are going to be about a relationship and the feelings that are existing between the parties in this relationship. So that's what we're looking at. The feelings in this relationship. So whatever the scenario ends up being, you have to decide who you are in the scenario. And again, this is like, use your own intuition to decide what is pertinent to you. It's meant to be helpful. Just take what's helpful to you. Leave the rest. The reading will have some advices. The reading will maybe outline some dynamics. And we'll just see how it goes. So, pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. Let's start with pick number 1. Let me just find a place to put these other picks. Let's pick 3. Let's pick 2. Here's pick 1. Alrighty. So, you got this relationship. Let's look at the feelings within it. Alright? We've got the friend and nurse card coming in reverse. I'm going to lay a couple of these out here, because I don't know if these cards are supposed to be in reverse or not yet. So we've got forgiveness and grace, and they came out in reverse. I'm just not sure about that. Okay, we're not going to take them in reverse. So you have been working to let go of judgments. And you've been appreciating the beauty that is inside and all around you. Offering forgiveness where it's needed. Taking grace in your process. Honoring the process of who you are, your journey, where you're going, where you've been. It's like you have one foot inside of this 3D existence and one foot outside. You like know your connection to the all, but at the same time you know yourself to be forging a new way, a new path. And so it's like if you were like bushwhacking, you know, when you go off the trail, and so it's not as easy to kind of keep going. You've got to make your own way. You've got to cut away what's in the way to take the steps that you need to take. In this situation, there's like a person with their heart on their sleeve, falls in love easily. And that may allude to some sort of codependency in this relating dynamic, okay? Because if you're falling in love easily, but open-hearted is actually in reverse on this card, so it's not an open-hearted stance that you're coming at that with. It's like, it could be a bit of rose-colored glasses in some cases, but let's take a look. Yeah, wishful thinking, daydreaming. This may be like a more of a fantasy type situation. But something has changed. You've come to a turning point, and maybe a light was shined onto something here. I got the Palladians, the 7 star sisters, birthing creations, tapestry of life, expression. And that goes along with that forging a new way. So perhaps you've been holding yourself to a higher standard in your relationships in general. Earth school, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. Yeah. So, you know, if you've been through something difficult, especially in this relationship, if something hasn't been going the way you wanted or expected, it's because that was part of it. That was part of like what was there in order to fuel your propulsion forward, right? Like if you were going to have to go off the beaten path, you weren't just like necessarily going to do that for sure when you're tired and weary. No, you did that because there was a log across the trail, because there was a need to leave the path. And like this difficulty that you have in this relationship is the need to go off the path. So then we've got our feelings card here. Oh, we've got 2 of them. So first we've got this bear situation. If you listen to my intro, I'm starting to think this pile is probably for me because something needs to be fixed. Okay. And then this is the other card that came. Someone feels very self-righteous and someone feels ashamed. Or something. Let's look. Okay, first card here. The little bear broke the vase. Why is Bear Cub upset? I think Bear Cub is upset because the flowers have been broken and there's a mess on the floor, and you know, to be honest, we don't know if Bear actually got those flowers and Big Bear broke it, or if Little Bear broke it. Looks like it could have slipped out of the hands of Big Bear. What is Bear worried about? Bear might be worried about Little Bear's feelings, or that Little Bear could get hurt on the broken glass, or that their vase is broken. Bear seems to be looking right at Bear Cub, so I feel like the Bear Cub's the major concern for the Big Bear. Did Bear Cub mean to break the vase? Okay, so here we go. This is indicating that Bear Cub did break it. But we know by the way Bear Cub feels that it was not an intentional thing. They're not happy about having done it. And we know this, you know, because of how they are reacting. So I know that I just like talked to myself in a circle there. We'll just let that go, okay? Okay, so the feelings here are somebody may feel like they messed up and they might feel really bad about it. Is Dog interested in what Bear is saying? No, Doug doesn't seem interested in what Bear is saying, does he? Why does Bear not notice that Dog is bored? Because Bear is speaking very self-righteously. Bear is very much concerned with their own self and their own story. Is Bear interested in Dog? Probably not. He's not looking at him, doesn't even care about his reaction to what's being said, just feels this need to express. How could Bear make Dog more interested? Bear could ask Dog questions. Bear could open his eyes and use a storytelling format. Bear can't really make Dog more interested, but Bear could be more concerned with whether or not Dog is interested. Okay, sorry, all these scenarios and perspectives are popping in my head about my own situation. I'm going to put those aside for a minute. I'll rewatch this another time to get my own feedback off of the situation. Okay, next we've got the crown chakra, the unlimited self. So there's some higher wisdom, higher understanding that can be gained from this situation. And we've got understand your body. That's interesting because it seems really off topic, but we'll find out why it's here. I just got a whoosh of dizziness when I said that. How can fair relating be added to this situation? Be a fool. Like, try something new, you know, be willing to kind of step out of the box. Is understanding the goal in this experience? Yes, yes. Discern that, right? If two people are having an exchange and understanding is not the goal, then really they're just like two people talking against each other or trying to have a power struggle. That's all that's happening. And is it worth engaging in that conversation when understanding is not the goal? I mean, do you want to be at war? Ask for what you want. Right? Like, I want to be understood. Do you care to understand me? I want to know if what I feel and think is important to you. Drop your expectations. This might be speaking to me. Yeah. And dropping your expectations lets you step back into being that fool, which is like, meaning I'm addressing this situation, I'm being in this situation without knowing what's going to happen, without needing it to happen a certain way, with my discernment accessible so that I can like observe the situation and understand it. So this seems to be like the same old way of relating, right? Like maybe you've been in a situation like this before, or it always goes this way with this person. There needs to be something new put into this situation, right? But if you don't know what to do, it's best to kind of walk away, get still about your, so that your perspective can shift or become clear. This situation needs much more balance, much more balance. The past in this relationship, in the past, hold on, I gotta find my little booklet. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. The day And you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. Caverns. Hidden, private, undisclosed. Something about this relationship, it was like shrouded in a cavern. It was shrouded in some sort of lack of clarity. It may have been hidden or private. It may not have even been in the open. It could have been something where you just dealt with each other on a level that was like so shallow that you never even got into the depths of each other. You were in your own stuff so much that you couldn't really look at that person. And in the present, bring together, group, and assemble. You've been brought together now. Oh, you may have been really isolated from each other before, and now you've been brought together. Yeah. So there was a period of separation in this relationship. And now you've been brought back together, so it's like significant again. Yes, yes, yes. And in the future, if things keep going the way they are, there could be a revival and opportunities to be much more open. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Knight of Cups. People are protecting their hearts, but there's a lot of nostalgia about the past. You feel very comfortable with this person on some level, even though it might feel like they're a stranger to you. And that's because if you had expectations and they weren't being met, that means like you expected them to be something that they're not. Or you expected them to be how they used to be and they're not. So you have this nostalgia, but it's based on an earlier version of both you and the other person. And that other version of you guys, it felt a lot closer, but it actually was closer on this like very childlike, immature level. Right now, balance has not been achieved. This is an unjust situation because basically of expectations, of trouble in the communication department, right? People not being able to ask for what they want. Like even Dog in this situation would have to kind of say like, hey, you know, I would like to be more engaged in this conversation, but I'm having a hard time following it or caring about it. That might be a little too direct, but you know what I mean? Like Dog has as much need to speak up for what they want in this situation as Bear. Bear might want to actually journal what they're talking about instead of sharing it, and maybe Dog can change the subject to something more, you know, that's more inclusive of them. Now, when we look at understand your body, I'm kind of being brought to this thought about clumsiness. Yeah, and then we have grace. Okay. So, like when I'm in that situation with my family member and they're just kind of like arguing against my comment, you know, in my body it's feeling like this is not something I want to be a part of or engage in. Like, all set, see ya, bye. My body told me that. So this is when we get in these patterns and we're doing these kind of relating patterns over and over again, there are feelings in our body, but we're so used to just glossing over them and not noticing it. It may not even be something that we're immediately aware of. So this is saying, slow down to the point where you can identify in your body where you feel the discomfort with this situation. Because once you do that, once you can identify the discomfort within your body, now you're starting to be present with what you feel. And that's going to be a key part of balancing the scales and bringing this situation to justice. Now, I kind of get the sense that, like, since this is a cycle, right, since this has been going on for a while, maybe it's the way you've always related, maybe it's the way your family members related or whatever, and you're breaking out and forging a new way, it might be difficult, right? Like, but there is a graceful high road that can be taken in order to achieve this. And that's basically what you're doing, is alchemizing the situation to take the high road. So you're changing something up in this equation. Now, we talked about daydreaming and wishful thinking and things like that, and how this is a turning point. And how the heart was on the sleeve at first, right? Like, but then that didn't go well. Maybe one or both people got hurt, and then that caused like a separation or time apart. And so I want to say that, like, that imagination is how we speak to our energy, our cells. And we can actually, like, visualize or imagine the outcome that we prefer or how that would go. We can kind of practice the conversation in our heads about what we would do differently. Not because we're trying to predict what they would do, because we still want to use our discernment on that. We don't want to have expectations of them. But because we want to give ourselves the courage and the bravery that will be needed in order to forge the way. That song keeps coming into my head. Now the day bleeds into the night. So I can't remember the words unless I sing it. I was getting kind of used to being someone you loved, and that might be part of the expectations too, right? Like, and maybe expecting that this person wouldn't have walked away from you, would not have had a separation in the relationship, and like maybe you faced tough times while you were apart, and there's some sort of resentment about that as well. And so the expectation, that's again expectations. Expecting somebody should have been there when they weren't. It's kind of like these two, this energy, right? Because it's like, actually you're not even checking in with that other person. They might have been going through something too. So your expectations are based on previous experience, when actually you're here to forge a new way. You're here to be very graceful and create balance in this difficult situation, which is a pattern probably for families, generations, and things like that. And you're here to break out of it, to replace these kind of automatic ways of relating and communicating with people with presence. And so forgiveness is going to have to take place between the parties, but you can't force anybody else, so you just give forgiveness to yourself and to the other. You do that. You put the forgiveness into the equation because you have control over you. Be willing to ask for what you want. Know that you don't know what this situation has to hold. You're not having expectations, but you're discerning. Is this situation right for me now? What can this be now? Can I ask for what I want? Is there room for me to do that here? The more present you can be, the more guided you will feel through this process of forging a new way, of learning what you came to learn here out of this situation with this relationship. So the feelings that are being experienced in this relationship are worry and fear and regret over past wrongdoing or accidents or carelessness. Concern for the damage that's been done. Self-indulgence and self-righteousness. Boredom and exclusion from care. Someone here feels like the other person doesn't even care whether they're there or not, or listen or not, or anything. And one person feels like they're using the other person as an audience, and their participation isn't important. And that you can see when I just say it that way, how about out of balance that is. So, ideally, both people would be considering each other and wanting to understand each other. But you only have control over you. So you have to do the parts that you have control over, using your body as a guide on how does this feel within me? And you have to discern. And one of the things you're discerning is this situation right for me going forward? Is this a relationship that I can continue in a balanced way? And I feel like it is. I feel like once balance is created in this situation, because it does look like these are two people who really do care about each other, but they just haven't been showing it. These are two friends that have the ability to not only forge a new way of relating, but forge a friendship that is much more solid and less shallow. That's much more solid. And also a relationship where it's much easier to communicate, where there's blooming, both people are supported in their growth and their learning and their blooming. Yeah. Okay, pick one. That is your reading. So remember, it's just information to reflect on. Only take what is helpful to you. Leave the rest. And I'm going to move on to pick number 2. I picked 2. Just going to take a sip of water. Okay. We're looking at the feelings in the relationship between you and another person. What's the situation? This is a relationship that's very established, solid. Or maybe someone's been taking it for granted because it seems like someone's not been putting in the work. I hesitate to use the word work when we're talking about a relationship. We don't really want to make relationships all work. But Someone really feels unsupported in this situation. Maybe they've been supporting themselves, you know? Let's keep looking and we'll see what the relevance of this is, okay? This is probably a relationship having to do with either like home life, close to home, or like someone who you are drawn to because of the household you grew up in. But either way, looking at the household you grew up in is going to help you with this situation. Let me look at the past of this situation. There's lots of nostalgia here. Memories, reminder, hint. Maybe there's a past between you. You grew up together, something like that. Could be siblings, could be just friends, could be someone from your past, could be a past life even. Presently, you're in unity, a partnership, and connection. You've been connecting with this person. You are connected to this person. Maybe you even feel like this person is a mirror to you. We've got these little twin otters. A twin, or just someone that you feel connected to, bonded with. You could be married in a connection with them. If things stay the way they are, there could be some opportunities to maneuver this situation. But there may be someone here who's taking advantage. Potentially. Let's see what the rest of the energy is. That could be only true for some people. Someone is not being witnessed. Someone is not feeling like there's letting their guard down. And these people are close. Alright, so the purpose of this situation has been to show you some sort of insecurity or some sort of way that you're attracting something that you don't want. Okay, so it's not like, oh, terrible person, point the finger at them. It's like, oh, what is this showing me about me? What insecurity, doubt, or fear has been brought to your attention through this experience? Acknowledge it, validate why you have it, accept that you have it, and be present with it. Surrender. You can only control your response. Accept how you feel fully about this, right? Someone's trying to manipulate you, take advantage of you, gaslight you, lie to you, two-time you, coerce you or entice you, breadcrumb you, right? Whatever it may be. Any of those could be it, or none of those could be it. But, like, accept that that's the case, and then accept how you feel and be present with how you feel. Because, like, say this situation is the situation that the universe is using to show you a lodged-in feeling that is stuck in there since the very beginning of your lifetime, you know, due to the family home you had. Like, what else is going to make you feel that? What else is going to poke you in that little boo-boo place and let it come up into your awareness? Lead by example. Balanced forces, right? Like, so you may think, like, this is an awful situation, it's not fair, it's dark, it's toxic, blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean to say blah, blah, blah to dismiss that. I'm just trying to include all of the kind of ways where we could categorize things that are darker or that we might think of as bad. But this is kind of saying, like, there is some gold in those situations for you as well, right? Like everything is kind of like both. Like even the darkest of situation can serve you in some way. Where this kind of situation might leave you questioning your connection with the divine and God and all. Actually, once you look into your own self and got to know yourself better, you'll feel even more connected to the all and to the universe. Let's see what the feelings are going on in this situation. A lot of celebration. How are pig and cat feeling? They're feeling celebratory. They're feeling happy. They're dancing and enjoying life. Does pig like cat? Yeah, I mean, he's not repulsed. He's not running away. He doesn't seem annoyed. We could argue that he's just in his own world and it doesn't matter if he likes cat or not, but we can assume that he also wouldn't spend time dancing with cat if he didn't like him. What kind of music do you think they're listening to? Something sort of upbeat. I put some new shoes on and suddenly everything is right. Hey, I put some new shoes on. Would you like to dance with them? Alright, so maybe you've been having some fun with this person, right? Maybe that is why you would want to ignore and not pay attention to some of the red flags that may have come up in this situation. Because the other feelings card we got is this. So someone's spying here. What is Bunny feeling? He looks kind of worried, right? Is dog thinking about rabbit's feelings? Maybe. Maybe not, because look, he's like whispering. He's like acting like we're playing a trick on him. Who cares if he's worried? We're hiding here. How is cat feeling? Cat's a little bit more concerned. Or cat just doesn't want to be found out, or cat's kind of just like a follower in this situation. What would you say to dog? I'd say, dog, why are you playing this trick? What is it making you feel? Do you feel powerful when you manipulate somebody's feelings? Or see them worried or scared? Did somebody do that to you? So depending on which person you might be, which role you're in. So if you were watching this and you were the person who was being more deceptive and manipulative and trying to coerce or control somebody else's feelings, this is saying like there's an insecurity, doubt, or fear that is causing this to be a repetitive situation in your life, and it's stemming from childhood. And in actuality, this person needs you to be an example of how to be, to have higher standards. And honestly, you are kind of taking the slacker route, right? Because those first cards that we got in the tarot were showing that you weren't putting in the work. And it's like you're missing out on all the greatest parts of this other person. You have not taken the time to really get to know them. So like, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you to really get to know somebody, or to be intimate, or to let them see who you are? You know, what does it mean to you if they are on an equal standing as you? Like, does that get scary for you, and why? when you have all that fun and when you're enjoying life, that's a wonderful thing, but are you doing it to the detriment of yourself or another, or are you doing it to avoid something? Are you doing it as a deceptive measure to distract from this sort of sneaky thing that you're doing, which you are likely aware of, and that you have the opportunity to break out of now? Upcoming, you have an opportunity to break out of that. Like, it's up to you. You are the example here. And what are you being an example of? And so if you are the person where you have somebody who's set off some red flags, but it's really fun to spend some time with them, know that this is also because of something, a pattern that's in your childhood, and there's an insecurity, doubt, or fear that's been brought up into your attention through this situation. And that you also are an example. So if this person who's being sneaky and raising red flags and not really putting in the proper work to a relationship, and when I say work, I just mean reciprocating the level of care that you give. If you have someone like that, they need to know that there are people that have high enough standards that won't put up with that, because they've probably gotten away with that a lot in their life. So who's going to show them that that's not appropriate? Only people who won't put up with it. Only people who have that turning point and say, enough, I'm not doing this anymore. I see the pattern and I'm ready to break it. The blue flames, spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. Yeah. So you're definitely being triggered through the situation. One or both of you are. And it's so that you can kind of become aware of this pattern and break out of it. Because that affects not only you, but every person that you're an example for. Every person that has some sort of way to see you. And they don't have to see you and know what's going on. They can just kind of read your energy. And just like their energy catches your energy, and like then they've got that download, and now their energy is telling them, hey, we know that there's another way to do this. We've seen it. You might not have realized that's what you were seeing, but we saw it, you know? Like, because our energy body will pick up everything. This situation is meant for healing, for the purpose of healing. That's the thing. Even the person who's in this relationship not putting in the work, who's not reciprocating in this situation, who's letting the other person kind of like carry the whole thing, that person is reliable and hardworking. Both parties here are. And one party is not letting themselves to be seen at all for the wholeness of who they are. Yes, they're being kind of this like jack of all trades that's just like fitting into the role that they feel they're needed in that moment. Maybe that's what they were trained into doing. Trust your instincts to guide you through this situation. You know something's off. You know something's off. Even if you were the perpetrator here, you would know something's off because you know this person doesn't seem to be buying it like the others, you know? But if you're the person who has been noticing the red flags of the other, you don't ignore them anymore. Don't write them off. It's true. You know it. And you got to trace this pattern back into your childhood. Where did this happen? When's the last time this happened? Like, when did this person throw up a flag for you last? And when's the first time this happened? This is actually making you doubt yourself so much. You actually have clear cognizance that you have been doubting. You already know the truth. And you have been doubting it because of distraction and a want to have fun. And there's something there too, right? Like, look into your childhood and discover what fun was to you. Were you allowed it? Was it taken away from you? Was it encouraged? You know, like, there's a lot of different pieces working in this situation, but I know it's like just like everything else, it's rooted in the childhood, but like now we've talked about the key elements of this, and that somebody is specifically having fun with you, but also being sneaky behind your back and planning to manipulate your emotions. They're doing both. And you knew it, and now this is confirmed for you, and it's an experience that you meant to have so that you could overcome it and be an example of someone who has overcome it, which is something that the world needs at this time. And you know what, more importantly, like your ancestors, whoever's in your family line, they really need this as well, right? Like if you have children, if you have nieces and nephews, anyone like that who would be subject to witnessing this situation, they really need you to do your part, and that's just really in caring for yourself the way that you would want them to. Okay? Alright, pick 2. That's your reading. Remember, it's just information to reflect on, so just take what's helpful to you and leave the rest. We're going to move on to pick number 3. Okay. Let me just get a little bit more comfortable here. There's been some sort of difficult situation, sorrowful, maybe an ending or something, maybe a fight, maybe a disagreement that's been put aside, and like maybe some sort of discussion happened and there's like a better feeling around things, and things feel more stable, solid, and nice between two people in this particular relationship. It's like you worked through something difficult, and that kind of like helped build some sort of more solid foundation between you, where it feels just much more right and much more recognition for the fact that you're guided in this situation. Let me look at the past, present, and future of this. Peach. Dandy, agreeable, and joyful. Well, that's not what the tarot said. Let's look at what alpaca says. Maybe there was some difficulty that you never discussed in the past. Maybe it was glossed over. That could very well be. Okay. Things seem to be gentle right now. Easy, soft, you know. And where is this going if nothing changes? Cumbersome, bulky, and burden. Okay. So the thing that was not resolved in the past, or at some point in this, the thing that was kind of glossed over, it's going to kind of become a burden. It's going to want to be taken care of, okay? But this isn't to worry, not to worry. Like, there's patience and faith and looking at any contradictions in this relationship. Like, we'll get into that some more as I see how it becomes relevant. Name 3 ways the opposite is also true. It's kind of the same thing, right? It's like, so whatever you're thinking and believing about that disagreement or the difficulty that was glossed over, name 3 ways the opposite is also true. Because this is going to help you neutralize the energy around it. What insecurity, doubt, or fear are you trying to avoid with this behavior? This behavior of avoiding to address the issue. Acknowledge, validate, accept, and love the part of you who feels it, fears it, and feel it in a safe space. So in some dysfunctional relating that goes on in some sort of family dynamics, things get brushed under the carpet. Like, say there's some sort of difficulty in relationship, you just wait until somebody needs something, or you wait until enough time's passed, and then you just like come back together as if nothing happened. But this is saying, like, that's a missed opportunity to release yourself from a repeating pattern. And this is a relationship in particular that was, it's so meaningful and special and important and valuable, I'll say, to the parties, that there's motivation to do this. It's like the gift you give each other is this working through this thing. Be of service. Because when you work through this together, you give each other the tools, the confidence, the ability, the thought, even the knowledge of the wisdom gained from this situation, which carries out into other relationships that you both have. And may also reveal some sort of talent and skill that you have for these type things. Whether it could be anything from the approach you have, the perspective that you gain, let's see what else we got. The feelings in this relationship. Again, we got 2 cards. Oh, so much love in this relationship, huh? How does Bear feel about Cat? Bear loves Cat. How does Cat feel about Bear? Cat and Bear love each other. How does Cat know how Bear is feeling? Well, it seems that Bear is trying to gift a flower. And he's also hugging Cat. Do you think they just met? Probably not. They probably know each other. How can you tell? Because this type of intimacy, they're looking at each other, right, in the eyes. And that type of intimacy is something that's usually built with patience and kindness over time. And then we have this one. Look at this one. Dog is just adoring Cat. And how does Dog feel about Cat? Love. We could say loyalty also, because it's a dog. Does Dog notice Cat is not noticing Dog? Maybe. Probably. Dog doesn't care too much, right? What should Dog do? I mean, I feel like these are the things you can ask yourself, right? Because, like, if you have a relationship like this where you both love each other and you're going into a discussion about something, you know, what should you do? What do you think dog should do if cat does not want to be friends? Oh. So it's interesting because we already had that card where it looks like these two people are friends and do know each other. But it's very possible that Bear is giving Cat a hug and a flower and Cat doesn't reciprocate. Right? It's possible that this is an unrequited love situation, that Cat is receiving but doesn't really want to give. So if you're in a situation here where this discussion about a difficulty, you're worried that it could end in somebody not returning the feelings or the sentiment or caring, right? It's like whatever you're going to discover about yourself within the process of doing this is still going to be worth it. It's still really important. Like, you got patience and faith, because if you don't express this, it's going to be a burden. Right now, if things go on and nothing is said, then it's going to be a burden. So the way to alleviate the burden is to address the issue and deciding on how to do that, right? First, neutralize the information, the energy within yourself. Name 3 ways the opposite is also true. Like dog could say, "Oh, I would just be heartbroken if Cat didn't return my love." Name 3 ways the opposite is also true. Well, also, I'd be glad to know how they feel so I can be matched up with someone who does return my feelings. Also, I'd be glad that they're free to be matched up with someone that they do feel the same way about. Also, I'd be glad that I was brave enough to have the difficult conversation, and I know it wouldn't be so intimidating if I had to have that conversation again in my life. So 3 ways the opposite is also true, like, makes you realize, oh, it's actually okay if Cat doesn't return the feelings. Like, I'll be okay for these reasons, at least, and probably many more if you kept, looking. But it's just like a way to help yourself get more balanced in the situation before you go in to have that conversation. You know you'll be okay. Longing for home, homesick for the stars. So what this card is about is bringing, so if you believe that you're from someplace else and you feel like you don't want to be here anymore because, like, maybe you're lonely, or maybe you're finding it hard to match up with somebody that's like you or that has the same values or whatever it is. It's like, this time on earth, it's for you to bring your home to here. Home is where your heart is. So let your heart be seated here on earth through your service, through your actions, through your experiences. Remember your innocence. It's like you're born here on earth to seed into existence this way from where you are, from who you are. So if Cat were to just, like, go along, right? Cat would just go along with dog, knowing that dog loves Cat, but Cat doesn't feel the same, so Cat will just, like, take the love and just go along. Or same with Bear. Cat doesn't speak up and say, well, I don't feel the same way, right? This is a form of deceit. And this would not be very responsible of Cat. This would be something that would be unfair, right? So unless Cat is actually enjoying the company and having a mutual friendship, then Cat really does need to be, addressing this situation. for one of these parties, there's very much a deepening attraction happening. And it may be for both, right? Because the first impression I had of these parties was that there is a lot of love. So it could be that one wants friendship and one wants more. It could be something like that. But it could be that it needs to start with a friendship. Someone needs to speak up about it. And then it deepens over time. There may be several situations here. Pay attention to the details, focus and practice, right? You could practice in your mind how you have this kind of conversation. Also practicing looking at the opposite of all the limitations and fears that you identify within yourself when you think about having these conversations. Spending time in nature is going to really help you get clear on the most important aspects of this conversation. Being in balance is going to be really important. So, Kat only taking from this situation and never being reciprocal would put things out of balance eventually. And eventually that would cause a burden to somebody or both, and it would be unpleasant. And it's kind of feeling like this situation would repeat like that forever until somebody creates balance within the situation. There's something here that can be improved upon to make sure that this continues on in a pleasant way. And it's something someone's being called to. You feel it. Your soul's been telling you about it. It's part of the plan. Like soul plan, I just heard. And you're really good at it. The person who's bold and likes to take charge, who's very confident, that's the person who needs to utilize that now. An advisor, a healer, and it's a masculine. It looks like the masculine is the one to take the lead in this situation. So in order to clear the way for future relationship to continue in a happy manner that it may be in now, there is a need to look at the contradictions in this situation, right? Like, I'm reminded of Narcissus and Echo. And Narcissus was cursed to love his own reflection in the lake. And then Echo was cursed to only repeat what others said. And so since Narcissus loved himself, Echo loved him too. And so there was no reciprocation. Like Echo didn't get love because Narcissus loved himself and only himself. And Echo could only love who Narcissus was loving, and that was himself. So it's kind of like that. It's like there has to be some sort of balancing out here and understanding about whatever contradictions you can identify in the situation. I feel like I could dig into it further, but I feel like I'm not going to, because there's something here about unique gifts. It's like your own digging into this situation reveals to you some special skills and talents you have. And that is not for manipulating others. That is for overcoming and breaking and alchemizing patterns and loops and stuckness and mimic and selfishness. It's for using the essence of who you really are from your heart space to solve this situation, which actually appears to have potential fruit, for the future of it. But whatever that fruit is like something that you discover through the process of it. And like, I think it's really, I want to say important, like for your soul's plan. So the fact that you feel such a deepening attraction or a draw or a magnetism or even a want to participate in this, both parties, I think it's because it is important. And like I said, it looks like the masculine. So if it were two feminines, or if it was the feminine who was going to take action, it would be with her masculine energy that she did so. Because it looks like masculine energy is the one that really needs to take the inspired action through their prompted from intuition and heart space. What's calling to them? That's what they're supposed to act on. That's what they're supposed to do. When we looked at that card and it said, what should dog do? It's like, what should dog do? What does your heart say dog should do? What is dog being called to do here? Yeah. Okay. That is your reading. Thank you for participating. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Only take what is useful to you and leave the rest. Perhaps I'll see you in a future one. Bye now.